Hi, Facebook. Kirk Duckwall here with Bricks Real Estate. Welcome to the Twin Cities Real Estate Show. We're going to get started here in just a minute with the recording of our radio show and podcast. Today's topic is going to be the marriage between real estate and design. Make sure you stick around for the after show. Anything we don't get to in the show and podcast, we'll wrap up there. You guys ready?
So ready.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do this. Are you thinking about buying or selling a house or just want to know what might be going on with one of your biggest investments? Then hang out with us for a little while. Hi, I'm Kirk Duckwall, and welcome to the Twin Cities Real Estate Show, sponsored by Bricks Real Estate, Network Title, Eric Bloomstrand and Chad Preby with Bell Bank Mortgage, and James Tolson with Country Financial. If you have any questions for us, you can give us a call at 651-303-0019 with any of your real estate needs or questions. Again, that's 651-303-0019. You can also check us out online anytime at brickstwincities.com for the latest and greatest searching and researching tools. You can also follow us on our Facebook page where you can see upcoming events, all the great publications that we have there, the Smart Home Buyer, the Smart Seller book, as well as our annual Bricks report with all sorts of market data. Going to be having a new one of those coming up soon. And you can watch us record live most Tuesdays around noon. Today, we're going to be talking about the marriage between real estate and design. I would like to welcome Lauren Byers. Perfect last name for a real estate agent.
Thank
I love
you.
it. And
I wish I could say I chose it.
and then we got Chad Preby. Thank you for coming in again. Good to have you back.
Yeah, thank you guys. Good to be here.
So, Lauren, tell me a little bit first, before we kind of dive into some hopefully useful tips and advice for people, a little bit of your background, because you're kind of relatively new to Bricks Real Estate. So
I am. Yeah.
And you're relatively new to me, so I'll hopefully learn a little bit over the next
Hi.
hour. So
Welcome.
So growing up, I have a lot of my background in design thanks to my mom. She really instilled in us the benefit of going timeless and traditional. And she would pull us around to garage sales and open houses. So that's really where my love of homes and decorating started. I would spend my nights. She would knock on my door at 2 or 3 in the morning, and I'd be rearranging my furniture. And she's like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, I wanted a different feel. And so I was doing that all growing up. I still do it to this day. You know, my boyfriend will come home, and the house will look completely different. And most of the time, he's like, "Okay, well, here we are. It's a whole new home."
Yeah.
But so I started doing that when I was pretty young, and just kind of thought it was what everyone did. But then as I was getting older, I moved out to California when I was 19 and didn't really know what the heck I wanted to do. And we started working for an art gallery for Thomas Kincaid, the painter of light, and learned how to frame artwork and lighting and, the balance and colors. And it was really interesting and really kind of loved that. And I was like, I think I need to start going to school for this. So went to school, moved back to Minnesota. after
why
about
would
8
you
years.
ever
I
move
know,
back
I know.
to this
Family.
winter
I know.
wonderland?
It's the heartstrings. The family brought me back.
Oh, yeah.
So moved back and, always had this thing in the back of my mind that I loved real estate and always wanted to do it, but never dove into it. And after years and years, had family friends that would do real estate down in the Rochester area, Winona area, and jumped in both feet. And now I get to do both. That's the Cliff Notes version, I guess, of what I did. But here I am. So yeah, that's my background.
You mentioned something, and I'm just going to kind of run with this for a second. But you said timeless and traditional. And I don't know if that means what I think it does. I've always thought the coolest houses are the ones that really stick to the era of when it was built, as far as, maybe you're updating it, but you're updating it appropriately
Right.
to that era. And
Yeah.
I don't know. And that's what I think of when I think of timeless or traditional.
Yeah, you're spot on. I mean, and that can go anywhere. That can go from Art Deco. That can go traditional. That can go colonial homes. Anything where you have a specific time period piece and you go away from what that was designed to look like, that's where the clashing starts to happen, and
Right.
it just doesn't feel quite
Oh
right.
yeah, so
Yeah.
the houses I'm just like, ugh. It's like you walk in 1970s split level, whatever. Great, that's fine. That's okay. A 1970s split level, but then it's got the green tile from the 1990s,
Yeah.
right? And then it's got the slate front entry from the
Ooh, what is not
2000s,
to
right?
love?
Right, and then there's a barn door downstairs, like just
Right.
no flow, and none of it's traditional. I would rather
Mishmash.
walk into that dark wood with the beams, which is funny. Now what are we seeing come back again, right?
Right.
Yep.
Yeah, that French Tudor type of feel. I know.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, and there is something to that. The classics, they always come back. It's the stability, the foundation of it. You know,
Mhm.
you have
Exactly.
those basic things that you can throw a different Christmas throw pillow or, whatever you want, and you can get a totally different vibe, but the foundation stays the same.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, I just had a client buy a house. There's like German cottage look to it, 1970s. So there's that.
Yeah.
Exactly. Chalet or whatever you want to call
Yeah.
it. Yeah, but untouched, and I'm like, sweet.
One of my favorite projects to date is a client of mine, but also a good friend of mine, Jeff Arundel, and he has what I call the Castle House, but for him it's the Flash House, and it's down over by US Bank Stadium. And he had done a number of things to that home to really make it what he wanted it. Intricate ironwork. I mean, it was awesome. I think a lot of people would peg it as like the Harry Potter house, if you've ever seen it.
Yeah.
But it was totally him, and he did a lot of renovation to that home. When we worked together, though, he wanted to go more into like the Airbnb and rent it out to other people or make it event space. So we had to bring some of those really intricate details and neutralize them out. But it's one of those where you go, wow, this is such a unique home, and now how can we make it unique for everyone?
Cool.
Well, your perfect segue into neutralizing.
Yeah, I didn't even try.
I know. It was. I'm just like, oh, that's awesome. So, yeah, I mean, like one of the ways that you can really make a space kind of feel good, I think, as you were mentioning, is doing some neutralizing a little bit, and let's dive into that a bit.
Yeah, so when I work with clients on either the real estate or the design side, and we walk into a home for the first time, and you see a bright yellow wall, or you see someone's velvet couches, and that's what they get stuck on, and they almost get turned off to the space entirely based on that knee-jerk reaction. And one of the things that I always tell them is, okay, for a second, do not picture any of the paint colors or the furniture in here. When you come in, we can neutralize it out. We can put either white paint or gray paint or, something that's going to stand the test of time. But let's look at the foundation of it, and what's the purpose of this room? What's it going to serve for you? But that's one of the biggest mistakes that I see is people go a little, off of the beaten path when they want other people to enjoy it, and that's where they can run into some issues. So a lot of time, yeah, go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, you mentioned something that I tell my clients, or it's kind of alluding to. It's you don't buy a house for your furniture. You buy furniture for your house. And I mean the same with paints, and you make it that space.
Exactly.
Right.
Yep. There's so many different customizations that you can do with furniture that people just don't realize. And it doesn't have to be expensive. There's so many options, and people come to me all the time thinking, well, we got to go Restoration Hardware or Crate and Barrel, or we have to do Pottery Barn. And it's like, yes, we can, and you don't have to.
Or you can go Menards and Home Depot, or City
Totally.
Salvage, or Bauer
Ashley
Brothers,
Furniture,
or
Home Furniture. I mean,
Right.
there's so many options. Or, people might be persuaded not to do this, but Facebook Marketplace, there are some people that are getting rid
tons
of
of stuff.
beautiful
Mhm.
items, or things that you can put a fresh coat of paint on, make it your own, and really jazz it up.
Somebody else's junk is, somebody else's,
Oh,
Treasure.
treasure, yeah.
100%. And
Yeah.
there's upholsterers out there, that are willing and so excited to get their hands on this piece of furniture that's good quality, but maybe it's not the color that you wanted.
Right. Yeah, if I'm a buyer in the market, right, I don't want that seller to necessarily paint the walls or do those types of changes because I want to come in and do what I want to do,
Right.
right?
Well, that's a great point, but I do think there's so many people that can't see. I mean, it's great as a designer, and I know to say the same things, to look past that, but so many agents don't teach their clients about looking past the paint and the furniture.
Right.
We got to take a quick commercial break coming up here, but I would like to chat a little bit more about paints and neutralizing and how maybe it makes spaces feel size wise and just this setting that tone. We're coming up to the holiday seasons and stuff like that. So we're going to take a quick commercial break. If you have any questions for us, again, real estate questions, you can give us a call, 651-303-0019. Again, 651-303-0019. We'll be right back. All right. Clock reset. Ready to go?
Yeah.
All right.
That's great.
Welcome back to the Twin Cities Real Estate Show on AM 950. If you have any questions for us, give us a call, 651-303-0019. Again, 651-303-0019. Have a guest with us today, Lauren Byers with Bricks Real Estate, but also a interior designer. Yep. And we're talking about, well, last segment we were leaving off with paints and neutralizing. I was just in a house the other day, and it's like you walk in, it's just this deep red. And, the first thing my client says is, why does somebody paint such a small room, such a dark color, Yeah. And I guess I can't answer that.
Well, I can help you out there a little bit. It's really interesting. Some of the times when we're using paint, we want to use it to make a room feel smaller, or we want to use it to make a room feel larger. So if we have a really high ceiling and we want to try to keep the space a little bit more cozy,
Right.
we will paint the ceiling a darker color to keep it feeling like it's a little bit more closed in.
Okay.
Or on the opposite of that, if you have smaller ceilings or shorter ceilings, painting the ceiling white or a light color will help to raise the feel of the ceiling a little bit.
I never would have thought ceiling color. I've always heard about walls, but sometimes you go into these 90s, early 2000s homes, and maybe it's that living, dining, and they vaulted the ceiling, but the walls are like hospital white, and it just feels like it feels like a very tall, narrow space.
Yeah, and it can also feel a little sterile when you're, like you said, hospital setting. When people are doing the whitewash, the white trim, the white walls, the white cabinetry, the white countertops, it's a trend right now, and I think it does nod towards classic a little bit because white never really goes out of style.
True.
However, if there's too much of it and not enough character, it can feel more of like a sterile environment for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. But, on the same sense of bringing ceiling heights down, if you have a long room, I will tend to put on the end caps, the shorter walls, I'll tend to put a darker color to make that room feel a little bit more symmetrical.
Mm-hmm.
So playing with colors that way. Otherwise, small rooms, they actually might feel a little bit larger when you're bringing a big, darker, bold color like a red. If you have a small bathroom off the kitchen or down in the basement, play with the color, have fun with it, but just know that it's going to take a lot of primer and paint to cover that back up when you want to do something different.
Yeah.
I've actually, I enjoy the fun colored bathroom spaces, right?
For sure.
It's like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Something a little different.
When it's your own space, do it up. Have fun with it. Go wild. Try it. See if it works. And if not, do it again. Paint is easy to change.
How does that transition, like, and I know we're going to get into, might as well, like furniture and spaces and neutralizing and like, how to get the most out of smaller, like, if somebody is in a townhome or a condo, and, there's so many of these townhomes that I see now that are these like stack style, I call them, right? You walk in, there's the fireplace to the right or left. It's a little hallway. Stairs are on the back, or stairs are, you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
And then the bedrooms are upstairs. Well, you don't have a lot of living space.
Yeah.
Right.
Sometimes it's nice in those spaces because you don't have a lot of wall space either for art, and which can sound sort of counterintuitive. But the more you clutter your walls, the smaller your space is going to feel, and the less put together it's going to feel as well. So if you're thinking, oh, I have a smaller wall, I should do smaller pieces, stop that thinking immediately. Do one big piece and be done with it. Let it speak for itself, especially if it's some piece of artwork that you really love. That's where your character can come out. And that's where also your color play can come in. If you have neutral walls, neutral furniture, play with the art on your walls, or a throw blanket or a throw pillow, but keep your bigger pieces neutral so you're not having to re-buy them every couple of years.
Right.
Okay.
Well, and once you set that palette, paint that wall, like you say, if you end up going with some really dark color or flashy, it's going to take a lot of work to change that back, where, changing out a piece of art is nothing, or changing out
Relatively
a
easy.
rug, or changing out a couch cover, or
Yeah.
pillows, or something like
Well,
that.
and thanks to places like Wayfair, you have rugs that are pretty inexpensive these days, and there are more patterns that are coming at you, so it's easier to buy those pieces or artwork.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
Yeah.
We like
also-
Wayfair.
Yeah, I do too. I do too. They actually, I will tell you this without having any sort of sponsorship from them at all, they are great customer service too.
Yeah.
But as far as furniture, just make sure that your flow of your traffic is always going to work out when you're placing your furniture.
Yeah, you don't want a maze.
Right.
You don't want to be knocking ankles around it. Something I've said, like, in the purpose of staging, I always talk about, you're not staging for the showing, you're staging for photography, right? In the sense that you're going to shrink down a space. And I know we're going to get into preparing a home in the next show, but I'll say, try to get 2 to 3 running feet between pieces of furniture.
Yes.
Right now, granted, I know a side table isn't going to be 2 feet away.
Right.
Yeah, okay, there's exceptions. But, you'll see these people, okay, well, there's the side table, now there's the clock, and now there's the hutch, and then
Right.
there's the buffet, and there's the, right?
Right. Let each area needs to have its own breath. If you're all running them together, there's nothing that is a special piece, and it's just utilitarian. And for some people, that is okay. But if you're looking to stage, you want the spaces to speak for themselves. This is the sitting area. This is the piano area. This is the dining area.
Yeah, you get into some of these homes, and it's just nonstop. It
Right.
doesn't end.
Yeah, and you're right. You're spot on. Usually we'll say at a minimum you need to have 24 inches between 2 pieces for easy traffic. Really what we're looking for is about 36 inches, though, or a little bit more.
See, nobody told me that. I just
Here I
kind of
am.
came up with that. Thank you
Oh,
for
so
justifying.
Very nice. That's impressive.
Well, before we finish up this show, and make sure anybody who's tuning in, we're going to be back next week with Lauren again as we get into how to prepare your house for sale. But, holiday season coming up, what are some things people can do, kind of fun stuff? And you have 3 minutes. No, I'm
Oh,
just
3
kidding.
minutes.
No, don't rush too
No,
fast. We can.
No, for holidays, I always start with select your color palette. If you bring your color palette, usually, your 2 to 3 neutrals and your 1 solid color, your base color, and then maybe 1 pop of color.
So then you're talking going back the pillows, the blankets,
Right.
the rugs, not walls.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly. If you have your neutral rugs, your neutral walls, your neutral furniture, you can do anything with your decorating.
Right.
And I'm talking from your Santa figurines or, your tree, but your ornaments, the lighting that you use, your throw blankets, your pillows, little things, your table decorations. There's little things that you can do to really add to the space, but select your color palette. And if you keep some of your bigger items more neutral, then you can add little colors here and there and, mix it up every year.
Well, and I think, the idea of seasonal decorating, it doesn't need to be this huge thing, right?
Mhm.
Of the sense that you have a few tubs and you change it out, like you say, going back to having those neutrals, that it makes it real easy to get ready. And something I'll touch on again in the next show, but people that are worried about, well, if I am thinking about selling a house, should I not do holiday stuff? It's like, no, absolutely do. It makes people feel warm and good. I always
For
do
sure.
the hot apple cider on the
Yeah.
stove, make it feel smell good.
Do some holiday things, but do it in a way that's universal. Tasteful. Yeah, you don't need it to look like it threw up Christmas on everyone, or
Clutter everywhere.
Exactly.
Now, for those that have the bright red walls and green walls, wow, you can really you can go to town on that. Well, okay, so see, you did holiday decorating in 2 minutes, so I still got an extra minute here.
Oh, I can keep going.
I'd like to thank you again for coming in for this show, and everybody, please tune in for the next one next week as we get into preparing your house for sale. Some design tips there. Thank you, Chad, for all that you contributed to this show today.
A whole lot. I actually learned some stuff, so thank
good.
you. Yeah, I
No,
appreciate it.
we're going to get into where the market stats are as we come into December timeline in the next show. So make sure you tune in for that. Again, if you have any real estate questions, please give us a call if you have questions for Lauren.
Yeah.
Sorry, brain freeze there.
No, you did a good job.
651-303-0019, and I'll make sure we get you in touch. So
Great.
We'll be back next week.
Nice.
All right, so preparing your home for sale and lighting, you can go for 10
Yep.
minutes on that?
Oh, yeah.
Sweet. Okay.
Yep. That was a whole first show.
That was a whole first
Goes
show.
quick, doesn't it?
So fast.
Yep.
Yeah, I know.
All right. Hi, Facebook. We're still here.
Hi.
Yes. So we're going to just knock out getting your house ready and look forward to some tips on that. And then we're going to get into some of the real estate stats where we've seen things go with the market. The market's not necessarily what you think it's going to be, depending on where you're looking. Very, very different things from each part of town. I'm going to try to break that down a little bit more. So,
Sounds good.
all right, ready?
I'm ready, Freddie.
Let's do it.
Okay. Actually, I want to just quickly see if anybody said anything in Facebook.
Ooh.
Okay, not yet. So that's good. Well, I mean, that's not good. Please comment away or question if you have questions. We'll hit them on the after
we
show.
can't be the only ones that dork out about this stuff, right?
Oh no. Oh no.
Yeah.
There's
No.
no. We get so on average, I think we'll pull a few hundred listens out of the podcast. I've seen it upwards of 5 to 8.
Oh, yeah.
We usually get a few hundred past views on the video,
That's so fun.
and then again, and then of course it broadcasts on AM 950, so we get that group too.
That's
So
so
yes,
cool.
there are other people that geek out
Yeah.
on,
For sure.
like I say to my team, geek out on real estate, right?
Yeah.
All right.
We do have some loyal listeners.
Oh yes.
for
Oh,
sure.
absolutely.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. It's fun. We AM 950 on a normal year puts on these little events, and we get to meet all the
that's
listeners
fun.
that are diehards. So it's kind of fun. to
Do you
meet
ever
'em all.
get anyone that says like, "Wow, you don't look anything like what you sound like"?
I'm uglier than I sound.
s-
No, just kidding. No.
stop.
I have had that comment, but only maybe once.
Yeah.
But no, I do love doing it, and we've also these are fun when the world is normal. Is to do these on locations, going
Oh,
around
fun.
to different, and we have all the banners and everything. To do that, and that's fun because you get people engaging,
Totally.
coming up, asking questions, and I've done a little jar and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's cool.
So.
That's fun.
Grab bag of real estate.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Yeah, the actual live viewership tends to be light, but then it just
Mm-hmm.
comes in. All right, here we go. Are you thinking about buying or selling a house? Or just want to know what might be going on with one of your biggest investments? Then come hang out with us for a little while. Hi, I'm Kirk Duckwall, and welcome to the Twin Cities Real Estate Show, sponsored by Bricks Real Estate Network Title. Eric Bloomstrand and Chad Preby. Welcome back, Chad.
Thank you.
And James Tolson with Country Financial. We got to get him in again one of these days. He had a
Absolutely.
lot good stuff to touch on once we got him over the jitters, I think.
Yeah.
You can give us a call, though, if you have any questions. 651-303-0019. Again, 651-303-0019. Happy to help you with any of your real estate questions or needs. You can also check us out online anytime at brickstwincities.com. Make sure you check out our publications, The Smart Home Buyer and The Smart Seller. And if you're saying to yourself, well, I've already sold a bunch of homes, 2 or 3 homes, 4 homes, I guarantee you there's going to be something in that book that is going to show you how to maybe squeeze an extra $10K out of your house. So check out that book. It is beneficial. It was written by agents that help people cumulatively with hundreds and hundreds of transactions. So it's meant to help you.
And it's free.
And it's free.
And then you can get a different couch.
Yeah, exactly. And I'd like to welcome back Lauren Byers. Today we're going to be on show 2 about real estate, the marriage between real estate and design. Real quick, I had you do that super that intro last time. You did it kind of quick. Go super fast intro.
Oh,
this
super
time.
fast?
Yeah.
I'm Lauren. I'm from Winona. I've been designing my whole life. I went to school for it.
Nice.
Love real estate. Here I am.
Here you are.
Yeah.
I'd like to welcome you back for this. So if you are just catching this as the second show, go back and listen to the first one. You can hear her whole background.
My spiel.
Your whole spiel, yes. So today we're going to talk about real estate, getting your home ready for sale from a design aspect. And then we're going to get into some stats about what our market is doing. And this is where that design kind of stuff can really pay off when you have a market that's not as hot. Yes, I said it. The market's not as hot.
Mm-hmm.
So this kind of stuff can really pay off. What would you say, so often people will be like, do I need to remodel my bathroom? Do I need to redo the kitchen? Should I put on this deck? I want to hear what you say as to what are your first recommendations when you go into a house?
That's actually a really timely question because my boyfriend and I are looking at, down the road in the next few years, possibly selling where we're at and buying something new. And I don't think the interior has changed since 2005 when he purchased it. So, which is fine. But there are different little faces.
Oh, is he on the condos, like kind of off of like University Territorial or whatever?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Over
Okay.
the
I know
Emerald
yes.
Gardens.
Yes. I
we
know
are.
those. Yes.
I love them. I love where we live. But there's some little facelifts that you can do, because he was saying, well, I don't really want to spend $30,000 to put into these if I'm not going to be able to enjoy it. And really, you might not want to do that anyway, because $30,000 that you spend on something that you love might be not anything that anyone else loves.
Right.
Good point.
So, things that you can do, like paint your cabinetry if you have decent cabinetry. If you don't have decent cabinetry, I would recommend maybe upgrading that. But look at your countertops, possibly replacing those. Otherwise, paint your walls, paint your trim. Just those facelift things. Sometimes I like to say it's like putting lipstick on a pig.
Well, and especially if you already have white trim, it's probably got little nicks and
Yep.
marks by now. And freshen
Touch
it up.
Yep,
Yep.
Freshen it
exactly.
up. Yeah.
Exactly. But as far as like the whole renovations, when people are walking into a home, they know if they have to do those renovations, but it really just depends on how you want to price it out. If you're hoping to get top dollar, then you might want to do some of those renovations just to bring it back up to where we are now. Otherwise, people are going to look at it and go, well, I have to do all this work, so I don't think it's worth this price.
Yeah, I try to go after what I call you're going to spend that and you're going to get 3 times more back.
Totally.
Right? You're going to get your money back and double or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're going to have that. You're going to come out really ahead. And I first always go carpet and paint or floors and paint. And I'm
Yeah.
not saying replace it, but make sure it's clean.
Yep.
There's no rips or giant wear spots or.
Well, and
you
for
know.
us, where we're looking at right now, we have the same selections that the contractors picked,
Right.
which I love contractors because I need to use them, and they are not designers.
Yeah.
So what they select is usually for the dollars and cents of it, and not for the aesthetic of it.
Right.
And so, replacing some of those things is usually an ideal way to start. So.
Yeah, I mean, I think that makes the biggest difference before you jump on those big items. By the way, painting the cabinetry, that can be a good thing. Make sure the cabinetry is appropriately prepped for
Correct.
painting. I went into a house the other day, and I looked at it. I'm like, something. It was like I could see that the paint didn't adhere right,
Mhm.
and I took my fingernail and
Mhm.
barely touched on it, and
That-
it just started peeling.
Yes, that
Yeah.
is one thing. I have painted my own cabinetry multiple times. Growing up, that's when you're living in cheap apartments and, the landlords kind of let you do what you want. You play around with things like that. But that is now something I will forever hire out. Just there's parts of those experiences that you learn. Let the professionals do that. Let
Right.
them prime it and prep it correctly and paint it and add the hardware, and you just get to enjoy it. Paint your walls maybe, but
Yeah.
let them do the cabinetry.
What do you think about painted countertops? You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I have a special place in hell for those.
Well, it's like you see them online, and they can fool you online, right?
They really can.
You're right. It's like, ooh, nice countertops. You get there, and you're just like, oh.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, it's immediate on the real estate side. When I walk in with clients, it's interesting because even some of my clients will go, "Wow, those are really nice," and I go, "Yep, we're gonna need to replace those."
Yeah,
Really
they're
nice now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they look nice, but that pan stain is not gonna be nice later.
No,
Right.
no.
Right.
Yeah, that's
The do-it-yourself projects too, right? I mean, I consider myself pretty handy, but there's certain things that I know I shouldn't touch. So if you're trying to save $1,
Right, electrical is a good place to never
right.
touch on your
yeah,
own.
Yeah, electrical plumbing,
Yeah.
because the YouTube videos do come in handy, but they're not as easy as they look all the time. So
Right. It's kind
you
of
know.
like your car. Change your filters, maybe change a spark plug here or there.
yeah,
Let them work on the carburetor.
well,
Right.
and even paint. You
Exactly.
bring up painting as an easy thing, but I mean, how many houses have we seen with the smear marks on the windows from the paint, or the overshot on the trim, or overshot on the ceiling, and how even though we know it's a cosmetic thing, how chintzy does that make that house look?
Oh, it's night and day. And that, I will say you have to hire the right people to do it as well.
for sure.
I've been in projects where we've hired out the painting and they've done the overspray on the ceiling and have left it that way, or they've gotten it on the windows and have not taken a razor to it, or have gotten it on the trim, and it's just it ruins it.
Mm-hmm.
So make sure you know who you're working with.
Yeah, it's pretty funny.
Definitely.
We're playing a game at Bricks right now called Fantasy Real Estate, and I'm picking a bunch of houses, and we're guessing how much they'll sell for, right? And I picked one which, at first glance, looks really good online.
Right.
But when you start looking at it, I was noticing the overshots on the trim and the ceiling, and I'm like, this thing isn't going to show right.
Mm-hmm.
And so everybody was submitting, oh, it's going to go way over, it's going to go way over. I'm like, I don't think
Well,
it is.
it loses
I love
what that does is it loses the trust that these buyers have on where you've skimped in other things.
Yes.
You know,
Right. Good point.
you decided to skimp on this. What else are you hiding?
Exactly.
Yeah, and I'd like to touch real quick. I know we mentioned this about spaces and getting spaces set up last show, but as far as kind of design with furniture and layout and the decluttering and whatnot, what recommendations do you have there?
The biggest piece of advice that I can give sellers or people looking to sell is take everything out. It's a hassle, but start the process. You're going to move anyway. Take everything out that you can put into storage right now, or get it out of the house, put it in the garage, take it all out and start from square one. Repaint the walls, get in neutral walls, and then only bring back the pieces that are going to add to the space.
Absolutely. I'm gonna put some stats to that. like so the recommendations, I know people that may be listening are, oh, that's a lot of work. Okay, well, first of all, a good real estate agent's going to have people that can help you with this, right? If it's staging help, we have stagers. If it's painting help that you need, we've got Pete the painter, or whoever, right?
Yep.
That we have people that can help and get that done. But dollars and cents wise, this is what gets you that 8 to 14% more. If you are not believing me on the 8 to 14% more, please call me. I'll gladly send you the spreadsheets that show this information. It's also laid out where the information comes from in our Smart Seller book. So there is real dollars and cents that you doing that painting, doing that staging, it's thousands, if not over $10,000.
Well, what I've noticed with clients is they tend to have a blind eye to all the things that they have in their space because it's just been years and years of accumulating.
I hate to cut you off, but
No, it's fine.
we got to take a commercial break.
Oh.
And then when we come back, we'll talk a little bit about what the market's been doing. We'll be right back. All right, ready?
Perfect.
Yep.
Cool. You're listening to the Twin Cities Real Estate Show on AM 950. If you have any questions for us after the show, you can give us a call, 651-303-0019. Again, 651-303-0019. Today we're talking about the marriage between design and real estate, part 2. Things that we're just kind of wrapping up with things you can do to your home to get it ready for sale inside, get those neutral paints in there, declutter, pick the appropriate pieces. You said something, Lauren, that it hit home because I use almost exactly the same line, which is I just preface it with, if I do my job, you're moving. So either way, this has got to go. So why not get it done now and make your place look great?
Right.
To get, like you say, get it out to the garage, right? Good. People don't care. They look in the garage for 2 seconds.
Right. Take your time, pack it away nicely, be done with it, and then you can put it up and display it in your new home.
Well, it's something that caught my attention was 8 to 14%.
Yeah. Yeah.
Whoa.
So,
Huge.
okay. So some interesting stats that, like, the difference between a well done, well presented, well marketed, well prepped house versus one where poor photography, poor preparation, it's about a 14% spread.
That's serious
right,
money.
right. And that is like Eagan, Shoreview, Richfield, Minneapolis. I've run these numbers in all these places, and what I'm doing is I'm picking homes in the same price ranges, in the same size and areas, and then you look at what they're getting price per square foot. I feel that's a pretty unbiased way to look at it.
Yeah, for sure.
And looking at what they're getting, 14% spread. Now, some people may do half of it, and they get the professional photography, but they didn't prep correctly, and maybe now it's only an 8% spread, right? But by doing the things correctly, you can really put a lot more money in your pocket. And when you're talking, 14% on a $200,000 home, 28.
Can I add one more thing that is a pet peeve of mine?
Sure.
Oh,
your mic.
Okay, I'm so sorry for this, but when I look at photos of listings and the bed is not made, or they have professional photos done, but the dog is in it, or little things like you really need to prep your home for those photos as well, and it's down to the small details.
I have a listing I'll show you after we get off air, and I call it the worst best home ever listed. It's hysterical. You'll laugh at the photos all day long. And what's funny is the same house was listed and sold very fast because they did everything right 2 years ago. This time, everything's wrong. I think it's still on the market 9 months later after the best. Yeah, it's funny.
Well, photos tell 1,000 lies.
Yeah, pictures tell 1,000 lies. Yep.
Yeah.
So the market, very interesting. We are running overall in the Twin Cities down huge in inventory. And it's not helping. We did have new listings coming on running in the positive for quite a while there. Going back to mid-September, we were plus 13, plus 16, plus 16. But that's new listings coming on. The problem is the pending sales are higher, which is still dragging down that inventory. So, we're down 32.5% in inventory. But that story is not the same everywhere, right? That when we look at Minneapolis and St. Paul individually, I'm going to get this pulled up, like Minneapolis, total inventory of homes up 24%, right? So depending on where you're at, and you mentioned, do you think it's because of the condo market? And I said, yeah, I think that's a lot of it. I'm looking and University neighborhood plus 15%, Southwest plus 23%, Powderhorn plus 77%.
Dang.
Yeah. Nokomis plus 111%. Like,
Whoa.
Yep.
listings are up
Yep.
all over the place. But what the real kicker here, where this is funny, is median sale prices. University plus 10%, Southwest plus 2%, Powderhorn plus 12.9 or 12.6%. So this is why I think it's so important that if you're a buyer out there, you're talking to your agent about what's happening in the areas that you're looking, not just the overall picture, because the overall picture says, oh, we're in the Twin Cities down 31%. But if
Right.
you're looking in Minneapolis or parts of St. Paul, or just each suburb is going to have its own data, and you want to make sure you're looking at that, because we just came out of the craziest sellers market that I've seen. But there are now neighborhoods that are not in sellers markets. They're in buyers markets. And if you're a buyer out there and you are walking in and paying top dollar, throwing out above list offer prices when inventory's up, maybe you don't need to do that anymore, right? You want to take that time to hash through that.
Yeah, I think it's also reconditioning your buyers.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Correct.
we went through this season and now we're starting this season.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now, our market can use inventory in a sense, right?
Totally.
We are very. That's interesting. I'm looking at St. Paul. St. Paul. So I said what, plus 24% on Minneapolis.
Yep.
St. Paul's down 12%
Oh,
overall.
wow.
Yeah. Even though there are up neighborhoods. West Side plus 38%, which is kind of interesting. I thought things over there were selling quick. So, but
It's
yeah,
just been a weird year altogether.
Yeah, unpredictable.
I know we're hearing that a lot, but
Unpredictable.
It really has.
yeah, and you also want to look at the data from, what is happening today is not necessarily what's going to happen tomorrow or what's going to happen in January. I could tell you right now, Twin Cities region median sale price up 11.1%. Wow, that's a lot over September last year. But the 12-month rolling up 7.1. That's almost identical to last year. Very similar.
Right.
So, I mean, we'll see how it all pans out. Now, that said, we are. Well, I'm having a brain freeze at the moment, so don't mind me. No, I'm thinking about Chad and wanting to talk interest rates. I'm trying to figure out how to segue into that. But the market meter, where things are and where it's going, we were in talking about what the summer was like. It was at a 9.68. So this is that scale, 0 to 10, 0 being a strong buyer's market, and a 10 being the strongest seller's market. We are a 9.68 the middle of the summer. We're down at I had it written down somewhere, probably not going to find the sheet. No, it was like 6.16. There we go. 6.16. That's a big drop. We're in stable
drop.
market range. And going back to that Minneapolis St. Paul, you have even lower into that buyer's range. However, I do think it's not going to go much lower than that. That we're gonna dip a little bit more, maybe towards Thanksgiving, and then actually by the time this show is airing, it might already be Thanksgiving, right?
Yeah, right.
And I actually expect an early rise to the numbers.
Well,
All of this obviously contingent upon lockdowns or things like that.
Well, and
Yeah.
that's the thing is it's everything is still going to be unpredictable, but it's almost like we're starting to see some of that normalcy in our market get back in. And right now we're entering winter, so we are very weather determined on when we can sell and when people want to move.
Right.
So maybe that has a little bit to do with it, but
100%.
Yeah.
I think you hit the nail on the head, Lauren. That we are normalizing. Yes, our inventory is crazy down, but for where things are, if you look at our pace of the market, showings per listing per week averages, we're down over last year.
mm-hmm.
So not much. So don't let that freak people out. But there are a lot of buyers that have pulled themselves from the market, along with a lot of sellers that have
Sellers
pulled
too.
them. And I
Yeah.
think it's stabilized. I think the crazy summer,
Mhm.
we made it through that, and we started to stabilize. And I do fully expect, as hopefully things pan out, as more listings come on, that more buyers are going to inject themselves into the market, and we're going to probably experience more 2016, 2017 rates.
Mm.
Yeah. Well, good news too, and that is a true thing. I mean, there is buyer fatigue, there is seller fatigue, and if you are one of those people that pulled yourself out of the market, the experts are saying that the mortgage rates are going to continue to stay low. We're looking at over the next 12 months at least, we're going to be in a pretty solid rate environment. Let's reanalyze.
Well-
with rates going down.
We can reanalyze
Yeah.
in another show.
Yeah. And that's
No,
something we'll talk
yeah,
about.
Yeah. So I'm glad you jumped in there. I don't mean to cut you off, but
No,
yeah,
that's okay.
rates looking stable and
Yeah.
low, which I think is going to be great.
Yep.
All right. Hopefully you found this information helpful. We'll be back next week. Okay. So
God,
Thanks for
he's
sticking
so
around, Facebook.
mean. No one wants to hear about rates.
No
I mean, that's
kidding.
no,
boring.
I started rambling after my brain freeze, and then I'm like, and you jumped in. I'm like, thank goodness. I wanted to touch on rates real quick.
Yeah.
But yeah, for Facebook listeners, that's what I saw in the forecasts as well.
Yeah. I mean, we had a little uptick in the market last week. The first announcements of the vaccine came out, and we had a little bit of a, jump in the stock market, which then tends to wear on the treasury, so in the bond market. But, we're back. I mean, rates today are going down right in front of our eyes as we speak. So markets are strong. This COVID thing that we all are very aware of is a big player in the market. And we'll just continue every day to look at it and analyze it. But it is a day-by-day situation with, real estate, mortgage, rates.
I guess I have a question for you from my
Sure.
clients, just what they've been asking in general. Has your processes have your processes changed because of, how low the rates are right now? And I know things like appraisals are getting backlogged and, things are maybe taking a little bit longer, but then there's other places where they're not ordering appraisals anymore. And
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
has anything changed for you on that front?
Yeah, good points. So for me, as example, I set the expectation up front. We are taking a little longer with appraisals if we need an appraisal. So what a loan officer, you want to hire a loan officer that's going to look into that type of thing for you, because believe it or not every purchase is requiring an appraisal right now, which will then strengthen your time frame or expectations with closing time. But, ultimately, you don't want to set your client up for failure, so we want to look at all that, expectation, market standards, 30-day closings or less, certain products like Minnesota Housing, if you're looking at some down payment assistance products for first-time home buyers, those take a little longer right now. So you're looking at that 45-day turn time. Can we get it done in less time? Yes. But if we set that example or set that priority right up front, then we're going to have a seamless process. So
I've also had a lot of clients recently, and I don't know if it's just because of, COVID and people turning more online and doing the Zoom meetings and, finding realtors online and finding loan officers online. But I've had a lot more people turn to me and say, oh, yeah, I went through Quicken Loans or I went
Sure.
through Rocket Mortgage. And why, my education to them always gets a little muddy, but I know I would rather work with someone local or someone that I can call
Yeah.
up and, a tick and just say, hey,
Yep.
I need help here. But why would you say maybe not venture into those avenues?
Because they're terrible.
Yeah, we do, and it's. I tell you what, if you watch TV, which I know a lot of us do, they're on TV a lot of commercials. They're marketing quick, right? We can get you approved in a click on your iPhone or Android. So people are always in a hurry. I shouldn't say always, but a lot of people want instant results. Not when you're buying a house, not when you're getting approved for a mortgage. It's not about instant results. So you're going to want to hire a local trusted lender that you can probably meet with face-to-face. That's going to ask you for your pay stubs, your W-2s, your tax returns. They're going to dig into your personal financial situation.
Which Quicken is going to do, any of these companies, they're going to do it. So don't think you're circumventing doing that.
Correct.
The problem is they're trying to hook you,
Right.
sales you, and then deliver
They're
not the
gonna tell you.
goods.
They're going to tell you
Yeah.
that they'll get you approved,
Well,
and
yeah.
then when you actually submit your paperwork, there might be some different things that
Yeah.
come down the pipeline.
Yeah, I'm going to highly recommend working with the loan officer that's going to get that up front, right? And there's a difference between them being pre-qualified and pre-approved.
Right.
Pre-qualified is your instant result on your mobile device. They don't know anything about you except for the information that you input it into that computer system. Pre-approved is your loan officer is going to take the time to analyze your documentation and give you a result that's going to get you to closing.
Yeah, I had a client.
Good questions.
Google sometimes can be your friend and sometimes can be your foe. I had a client who looked up this article that said the pre-approval and pre-qualification are the same thing. And it's like, as you read the document, can you make or extrapolate some similarities between them? Yes, but if you look at the qualification, it typically specifically says this is not an approval.
Correct.
Right? And that's what the sellers want to see. So I don't care what your perception is as the buyer, in a sense. It's the perception of the sellers that you're presenting the offers to. So if you want me to truly represent you as a buyer, you need to know how they're seeing it.
Well, and
Right.
Absolutely.
it is such an emotional. I've talked about this before, but it's such an emotional process, more emotional than what you ever anticipate going into as a buyer and as a closer or as a seller as well. But for me, as an agent, I also get emotionally wrapped up into it because I get so excited for my buyers. I get excited for their next opportunity. And one of the most heartbreaking moments, and I've only had it happen once, knock on wood, say the prayers, but I've had one buyer get to the closing table and not be able to close because they cannot get financing. One time that happened, and I never want that to happen again. And it really was because it was an online.
Right.
Yeah, I've seen it. I've seen it happen. Now, luckily, not at the closing table. Weeks out from closing, I've seen it start to come apart with the online.
Yeah. Yep.
And it was written in the sand. You could see what was happening.
Yep.
And so we were able to circumvent, get them in a good position to be able to close. But I have had the at closing day, not able to do it.
Yep.
And yeah, we never want to see that. And so it is the person who's being honest with you, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Honesty isn't always convenient, right?
Right.
But guess
Ding,
what's
ding.
even more inconvenient? Somebody's lying to you,
Correct.
right?
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people that lie to you for money.
Well, and not only do you not get your home, but then you also lose your earnest money, which, that's
Well,
it.
it's a trickle-down effect
Chunk of
too,
change.
right? That seller's probably buying a new house,
Right.
so
right.
they can't buy. I mean,
right.
People can tell you anything. Reality is, it really comes down to who you're working with. Interview them. You want to know their track record, right?
Right.
Because there is no excuse. You should not get to the closing table and find out you're not qualified.
Right.
There's a lot of things that can make the process a little more stressful.
Yeah, like purchasing a Maserati while you're trying to purchase
Yeah,
a home.
yeah. There's things where people go out and buy vehicles after they're pre-approved, right? Those are things I'm going to talk to you about why you don't want to do that.
Right.
Or if I don't look at your pay stubs correctly and find out maybe you have a child support situation or a wage garnishment for whatever reason, that all of a sudden takes your qualifying dollar amount down because of that obligation. So there's a lot of things that we look at that that's what determines what you
Well,
qualify for the mortgage.
you know, true. Putting us back on track a little bit as to hey, and that's what the after show is there
Design.
for.
Sorry.
No,
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
no. To the point of have you seen changes, which your question was, and for him to say, yeah, may take a little bit longer.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm sorry, Mr. or Mrs. Buyer out there. That's the honest answer. If you have somebody, we can get it done in 30 days. Be wary.
Be cautious.
Be cautious.
Yep.
Mhm.
You know, somebody who's telling you the situation, that doesn't have your business, they're probably telling you the truth in a sense,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
So I would definitely, you want that person who's going to take the time and going to be straightforward with you, that's going to show you how to do it, right? Yeah, we'd love to snap our fingers and say, yeah, you're qualified, go buy a house right now. That would be amazing, but
Right.
that's not how it works.
Correct.
You would not be lending me $200,000 without you knowing a whole lot about me
Right.
before doing that. So.
Yeah. One quick thing too I want to mention, and this is in the works, is there are now through the investors there are systems that are in place to where if you fill out the application correctly, there are sources behind the scenes that can verify your income and soon to be assets up front when you fill out the application with the company I work for.
I'm assuming as long as you upload the documents and that, right?
In some situations, we don't even have to ask for pay stubs and W-2s
Oh,
now.
wow.
So it all depends on if the employer works with companies like The Work Number. But these are systems that we're putting into place that streamline this process to where we don't have to ask you for all this documentation. Now, it doesn't work for everybody because it depends on the verification systems behind the scenes. But good news is we're moving forward with technology to where we're not going to have to ask you for as much documentation up front down the road.
Oh, that's cool.
But in the time that we're in today, to answer, to add to your question, is we are asking for documentation more often, right? So we're going to ask you for pay stubs probably a couple times through the process, in bank statements and stuff like that, because the how long that document is good for is now, it's good for 30 days rather than 90 days.
Got
So
it.
we're going to ask you for documentation
More
more
frequently.
frequently. Correct. But overall, rates are amazing. If you want to talk rates, give me a call. Everybody's situation is different. Credit score, loan to value, property type, stuff that we talk about in our home buying seminars determine that rate. But yeah,
Thank you.
yeah. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
I can go on and on and
I
on
know.
if you want
I
me
can
to.
too.
I know.
But yeah, I got to get to a meeting.
Yeah, you got a
Thank
meeting
you,
coming up.
Lauren, for coming in.
Thanks
Thank
for letting
you.
me be here.
Good to meet
Appreciate
you,
it.
too.
Love to have you back again.
Totally.
All right. Facebook. Let me just double check. See any questions popped up. Danny says hi.
Oh, hi, Danny.
Hey, Danny.
Hi, Danny.
All right. Have a good one.
Bye.
Have a good one, guys.